Welcome back to another video. It's your boy Cape has Pauser, and I'm with my boy Steph, and we are doing another episode of That Gonna Talk. Today we're going to be previewing Arsenal's Champions League game against Sporting Lisbon or Sporting the Club Portugal. Steph, man, off the back of a nice win on the weekend against Forest, I just want to know how you feeling today.
First of all, glad to be back in Premier League action. I'm glad to be back with a win. A win that we needed. We needed a win. We needed a performance. We spoke about it so much, and so much good came from that game. We allowed to see squad rotation, something we've talked about on this channel. The likes of Jorginho coming in, giving us quality even for 45 minutes. Partey off the bench scoring a magnificent goal. Saka, Odegaard back together looking brilliant with Urian Timber, another player we've talked about on this channel. You see the side looking more fluid. Overall, Trossard comes into the team. Jesus, who we've been asking to get a start and a run in the team, comes in, plays pretty well. And overall, Ethan Nwaneri gets his first Premier League goal. Big up to Nwaneri, someone we've been talking about since the start of this season that we've been pushing and egging on to get contributions in this side. So congrats to Nwaneri. Congrats to the whole Arsenal, and finally feeling great to be back with a win. How are you feeling, KP? You went to the game. Let everybody know how you feel.
Hey, man, before I even talk my thoughts, guys, you already know. Steph recently just reached 1,000 subscribers on Gunner Street. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button to our channels, drop a like on this video, and comment down below your thoughts on anything we say in this video and your lineup thoughts. But yeah, man, I was at the game, managed to get a ticket. One of my boys patted me with a last minute ticket. Very nice gesture of him, I can't lie to you. But yeah, lovely game to go to, man. Obviously, he was excited. First came back from the break. Obviously, we needed a win and we needed a performance, and I think everything that we could have asked for in that game, well, bar maybe a Jesus goal, happened in that game. Like in terms of like we saw rotation, we saw good football, we saw subs use of players that haven't played as much. We saw Ranieri get his minutes. We saw him get a goal. We saw do you know what I mean? Just like the team just felt overall, saw the defense not concede any shots on target. No, like I didn't feel worried about Forest scoring at all. None of their threats or their players like maybe thinking, oh, they're gonna trouble us. Everyone was comfortable in that game, so it was a nice game to play, man. And obviously 3-0. It was mad because obviously it was 2-0. I was hoping like obviously I know we both predicted 2-0, so I was like, can it stay? Can it stay as this? Then obviously when we got the fight, I was like, yeah, I didn't get like obviously 3-0 makes this game look a bit more nicer to what it was, because I feel like we did dominate that game in that way. And obviously it was it was nice to see that there was many good performances. Like I don't think there was a player that didn't let themselves down or was carried through the game. I think everyone had their piece, had a good performance. Left hand side and right hand side was looking good in that game, and obviously Odegaard and Saka especially was looking tremendous.
That was 100%. And Sterling with the assist. So that's something we want to see. He's been criticized so much for his minutes in his team, and what does that signing even mean? Does that signing even make sense? So it's good to see that even during his time, even in limited minutes, he still can affect the game positively. And I hope let's just see that consistency building his end product throughout the season.
And there you go, man. Like it was nice to see. You know what I'm saying, like Mikel. Like I feel like Mikel got everything right that game, and like Jorginho got a yellow card, which wasn't a yellow card, but took him off at halftime, probably unwillingly, because I think Jorginho was having a game him. So I always say this: if I ever watch that guy play, it just makes me it's a joy to watch, man. He just looks like a guy that is more intelligent than everyone else on the pitch. Just controls and allows us to play our football. But yeah, brings on Partey. He has another good 45 minutes, comes on, scores a lovely goal, plays Zinchenko, lets Calafiori get, enough minutes on these legs, but not enough to kind of put him in the red zone. Zinchenko comes on, adds his own piece to control the game and get into the pockets, and puts on Nwaneri. As you said, Sterling comes on, gets the assist, plays well. Plays use, despite not getting a goal, I think had one of his better performances in this game, just, linking up, keeping everything simple, pressing. The guy works so hard, like sometimes that in transition, the guy will run back, left back, right back. Obviously, I know we credit that stuff, but it's crazy. And yeah, like it was, I think Mikel got everything right. And ultimately, we didn't even have to use the likes of Rice and Havertz and Martinelli at all, which obviously Rice probably wasn't going to play because of injury. But the fact that we didn't have to use Havertz or Martinelli at all, like it was nice to, I'm saying, like see the other players that, have kind of been forgotten about come in. And, it should be, Forest at home should be a game that we should be able to rotate and be confident enough that we're going to get the 3 points with our squad level. It shouldn't be a thing of we have to play our first 11 or the strongest 11 in every game, in every competition for the whole season. So it was nice to see. Obviously, City getting whacked by Spurs, and obviously Liverpool very, very like,
So
or I would say
yeah,
lucky.
we talked about it
I won't say
personally.
lucky. I would say
About
more
the order.
Southampton doing all they can to give Liverpool the 3 points, but uh, it would have been a nice weekend. But it was still a nicer weekend. Obviously, they face each other next week, so we'll see how that game fares up. But yeah, man, as we talked about before the game in the preview, we wanted. I said 7 wins. We need to kind of go on a run now. So it was nice that you said that you wanted. I think I'll throw this back to you, Steph. You talked about, I think, when we made the video about our season, and then also again when we made the preview about the Nottingham Forest game, you said you want Arsenal to show you that they're ready, give you something to believe in again. So to throw it back to you, did they answer your question? Did they give
Yes,
you
yes, they
what you
did. But that comes more so with something I've been looking deeper at this week as well in terms of like profiles and injuries again. When we have certain players injured and when we play certain profiles in the right positions, I think we're so much a better team. When you have Calafiori at left back, Timber at right back, or even Calafiori and Ben White at right back, we're allowed to get further up the field. Not only are we allowed further up the field with a better press, but we're more confident and we're more decisive in those areas when we get up the field. Where we're so much of a good side is when we get the ball up in high areas of the field, we know how to use the ball well. We know how to move the ball quickly, and we know how to keep oppositions pinned in their own defense. That's something we haven't really seen when we have certain profiles there. Exactly, case in point, when you have Thomas Partey, who's been excellent this season at controlling and dictating the tempo in midfield, moving him out of midfield and moving him to right back. That yes, he could do a job there, but you're ultimately gonna lose something. Addition by subtraction or subtraction by, you know what I mean? You're gonna lose something somewhere. But like you said, to answer your question directly, yes, another masterful performance by Bukayo Saka, goal and assist. That's what 12 goal contributions in 11 games. Uh, if he was having the season that Phil Foden is having, listen, you would never hear the end of it. You guys will never hear the end of it. Oh, he's overrated. He can't do this. He bottled it, and then this is the pressure. And now, Saka, season on season, we've talked about this for so long. Every single season he comes back, you deny him, he gets better statistically and performance-wise. You could even see him taking on that mantra of being the guy at Arsenal. Same thing with Odegaard. When you come back, he said it in his pregame. He wanted that desire to come and play at the carpet. That's his first game back at the Emirates since August. So for him to come and drop another arguably man of the match performance with an assist and overall brilliant football from Martin Odegaard, you have to give him credit. And another one I want to give one last shout out to has to be Mikel Moreno. I want to big up that midfield because Mikel Moreno has had a lot of criticism in this since joining Arsenal. People have said, "Oh, he's not good enough based on 2 games or 1 game even." After 1 game, people were already writing off our signing, and since then, he's for me been the perfect profile to play alongside Martin Odegaard and whoever plays at the 6, whether that be George, whether that be Partey, whether that be Rice. Regardless, Mikel Moreno has been showing that he can be excellent in that position, and I hope that he carries on to perform at that high level because we need him. He's a brilliant player.
just off the back of that, obviously, I talked a bit about Marino's impact on the team in my latest video on my channel, so you can check that one out as well. But to go off the back of that point, Steph, you talked about whoever's playing the 6. Obviously, you made a video as well on your channel. Obviously, check that out as well about the midfield and what we should do. And obviously, ideally, we wanted to see Rice, obviously Odegaard and Marino. But now I think it's given me more confidence. The fact that we saw 245 minutes of, obviously Odegaard and Marino being, I guess, the mainstays, but the 6 changing without Rice. We saw Jorginho's iteration, which was lovely to see. We saw Partey's iteration, which was lovely to see. And obviously, we will see the iteration of Rice, which we will see more, which is also lovely to see. But the fact that, like, we have many options in there, like, for me, is more confident. Obviously, segueing off, City have lost their main DM, and obviously you can see how much in the midfield they're struggling to maintain that balance and consistency. Whilst if Arsenal, obviously, God forbid, was to lose Rice, I still can say we can maintain a level of playing, a level of defending with the other options we have in there. Which is why when people complain about, oh, why are you always buying more defenders, more DMs, you have to think about the worst case scenario, not always the best case in some when you're squad building. At the same time, obviously, you can argue that for other positions, but defenses are what give you more stability. So yeah, so it was very good to see just the overall performance from the team and another win, and hopefully off the back of that we can take that confidence into Tuesday's game, tomorrow's game against Sporting, which we do have coming up, obviously away from home. Obviously, Steph, it's our game week 5 in the Champions League now. Moving on to that game. We face Sporting Lisbon. Obviously, they're off the back of losing their manager Amarin. Obviously, doesn't really. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. Obviously, which might be a big blow for them. But obviously, they do have a deadly striker up front in Victor Gyökeres. They do have such terrific home form this season. They've scored almost a goal or 2 goals in every home game they've played this season. Obviously, the last time they had a home game in Champions League was against Man City, and they put 4 past them with a Gyökeres hat trick. So it won't be the easiest of games, even though they do, have a manager change. They're probably going through a little bit of a transition. They do have good players. Trincao, they have one of my favorite players in Diomande in defense, who I would love at Arsenal as well. And yeah, man, Arsenal need to get this win because ultimately we did lose points against Inter. We can't fall too back in the the table, even though I don't know how much it really matters because I know we have a couple of easier games coming up. But ideally, we want to build up momentum and a run. So just before we get into any lineups or anything, like, what's your thoughts on this game? What's your feelings around this game? And yeah, like, what do you think? What do you expect from Arsenal?
I like where you ended this. No, we need to keep building that momentum. I think that's the biggest thing. You want to come back from international break. You played one game at home. We had squad rotation. You had a good feeling. Now take that good feeling. I know it's only 2 days rest, and know we're going and we're flying to Portugal, but we have a poor record in Portugal. And also, too, I think that time we went out against them in the Europa League when we lost Saliba. That was a gutting blow for us. So that was also the 22-23 season where everyone thought we were flying. And that was really, for a lot of people, the start of where the wheels fell off for this Arsenal squad. So a little bit of redemption. I know everyone is saying this is a redemption season, but this is another key piece of the puzzle that falls in that redemption season. So I say, I'm looking at this game saying that we're going to need another performance, and it's coming off the back of a really feel-good win. So I expect a win, even though they lost the manager. I know it's going to be difficult. The key thing I want to talk about is, before we even touch on the lineup, I think we need to be very key in terms of how we press the ball and in terms of how we control that midfield battle, because I think that's where City got the game wrong. Yes, they lost Rodri, so yes, you could say that about a lot of the midfield battles they've lost. But when Gyökeres was able to get in behind that Man City team, they were able to turn over Man City and have them running at their back line, something that we've seen that they don't want to do during this difficult period for them. So we cannot let Gyökeres get in behind. We cannot let their quick players get in behind. And we also have to use our players, like especially like Jorginho, like we talked about, like we highlighted, Partey, like we talked about, we highlighted at the 6th position. And Moreno and Odegaard, they're going to be very, very crucial in terms of how we dictate this game and in terms of how we lead the press and hopefully get 3 points against a really difficult opposition. No doubt about it.
Yeah, man. Like good points that you stated. Obviously, of our record in Portugal so far in Europe. Obviously, Sporting being the team that obviously knocked us out in the Europa League that year when we first, started to believe in Arsenal's, title chances and just, us being one of those teams. And obviously, off the back of I think Arsenal haven't done too well away from home in the Champions League since we've returned. Like, I think it's only one win. I think that was against Sevilla, if I'm correct. I think every other game we haven't lost. I think, yeah, we lost to Lens. Yeah, we lost to Lens. We lost to Porto. We lost to Bayern. We lost to Inter. We drew to Atalanta. Yeah, so we haven't done too well away from home. If I'm correct, yeah, PSV.
Oh, you're right. You're correct. PSV we drew. That was the last game of the season. That was the last game of the Champions League.
We haven't won too many games, so I think ideally this scenario is different because we do have a full squad. I think this is the one, or at least near enough a full squad. It's one of the first times we're actually entering, a game where we have, all the options that majority options Mikel should use, so we can see how he might want to set up the team. Obviously, off the back of the game on Saturday, we did rest a couple players. I think the Sporting game, to go to your point before we get into the lineup, you talked about City when they played them not having like the legs or Rodri in the midfield, and then obviously in the defense not having the physicality to match him when they did go over the high line. I think at least with Arsenal, where we saw the example of, we've seen times where Saliba or Gabriel have struggled against, the likes of Awani, that physicality, that physical kind of striker. Some not struggle, but sometimes they've given them a game. But I think the way they handled him on Saturday, and then when Chris Wood came on pause and handled him as well, I think it also like enabled me to know that they're ready for this battle against Gyökeres. Obviously, it's a bit different to Man City's players, which obviously I think all that Saturday's game against Spurs showed was that they're coming to the end of their cycle. Maybe they're not at the end, but their players are older compared to us, where a lot of our players are, just not even at their prime still. Talking about our defense, we're talking about our midfield. So there's a lot of legs in there. If I assume, and we'll get to line up, that Rice will come back into this team. So if he's in that team, we know that we can press up a bit higher, especially if Moreno's playing alongside him, because that's two guys that, can, tackle, can impose that. And I think Moreno did well in terms of in Rice's absence on Saturday, in being that player that, tackles a lot and brings that physical power that, Rice would normally bring in our press. I think he done that very well, just to make that point. But yeah, like I think Arsenal have the tools and Mikel's the tools to do it. I think he needs to show a bit of his growth and maturity in Europe as well to go away from home and get a result, especially against a tough side and in a scenario where we need to win. Obviously, if we draw, it's not going to be the worst thing, but I think we need to, for ourselves, we need to start to develop the habits of winning, the habits of imposing ourselves and letting Europe know. Like, I like the fact that no one's really talking about us anymore. Really, people are kind of written us off the title, or people are not really focusing on us, so they just kind of, good. I like the kind, when you just kind of hone in, focus on, let noise kind of not be here, and we get back into it. But yeah, Steph, just transitioning. Let's get into the lineups for this game. I predict the lineup for this game. It will be interesting to see what we do, because obviously Mikel did make some rotations that I'm pretty sure was unexpected from everyone. I don't think anyone would have predicted the lineup that he played on Saturday. But which is a good thing now, because we should kind of not expect at this point in the season every lineup that he should be playing. Like, we should kind of see some rotation or game to game. So obviously we'll just go for it. Obviously goalkeeper. I'm assuming we're gonna go Tommy Stepford, right?
Yeah, Tommy Stepford definitely in goal. He's been a great youngster, great servant to the club. But now, David Raya has to be the man of the hour. David Raya,
Hey,
of course.
Stepford, you see this? I don't mean no harm or jokes. It's a bit of bants, but yeah, okay. David Raya, am I to assume, Steph, that you're gonna go the same back four that started against Forest?
Yes. Okay. Just for the mere fact that I say this in my upcoming video. The thing that only scares me about running this backline back to back is that how do you manage Yuri and Timber? How do you manage Ricardo Calafiori? Because those two players have shown that even in their short Arsenal tenure, they can get injured. No, Ben White is on the shelf. I mean, I don't want to see Thomas Partey playing at right back, but with Tomiyasu out, having us majority left back cover, I mean, how difficult is it? Like, how difficult will it for your Timber to put a running games together? That has to be seen, honestly. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. Very good point. Thank you for bringing it up. I think obviously with Ben White's injury being obviously long term, at least to the New Year's, and I think Mikel also, the way he talked about Tomiyasu gives me signs that it might even be longer than Ben White's one, because at least with Ben White's one, he kind of said months. With Tomiyasu's one, he said he's going to be out for a while, and those things are concerning. Obviously, I feel like Tomiyasu's body fully broke down at that Sporting game when Trincao turned him and he kind of, done his ACL and his groin at the same time. I think doing those two type of injuries in the same game at the same time, I think even if you want to recover back, like, you're always going to get niggles all around your body all the times, flare ups. So I feel sorry for Tomiyasu, because he's a quality player and his injuries have kind of ramaged him. But yeah, like, that gives us, obviously, it leaves us in a situation where we only have one active right back, which is a guy that just came off a fully ruptured ACL last season, where obviously he's probably, in my opinion, our best right back in the team in terms of technical ability. I'm not saying in terms of that defending a fool. Like, I'm not disrespecting Ben White, but we can't run him into the ground, innit? So I'm like, we're probably going to see a lot of party right back in certain games, and people are going to have to take it, because if Timber gets an injury for long term now, we're playing a season with no right back and a whole different type of style, and which is different. Or maybe Saliba goes right back or something, which we don't want to see. So
I don't want to see Saliba. I'd rather Partey right back than Saliba.
I think essentially for me, like, just to quickly make a note so we can get to the other positions, like, I think, so I want to see rotation. So for example, I want to see this lineup today. Obviously, there's how many weeks? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's a 4-day break between the next game, which obviously it's decent enough for Timber to play, but obviously that would be 3 games in a week. And I know we have Man United on, I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday next week, which is a game that I expect him to play. So ideally, I think Mikel should rotate the squad on Saturday, like bring in the likes of either Zinchenko or Lewis Skelly or even Kivior to left back, and let Calafiori, be off the bench in that game so he can be ready for that United game. And then with right back, I think we're playing West Ham. Maybe you might have to do a party right back, or obviously change one or the other, like you rest one of them, like like so you give them opportunity to play, and it's not in terms of changing because you have to kind of let players rest in it, and especially where we have a lot of midfielders, all our sixes are fit. Maybe Party playing right back, inverting into the midfield properly instead of him just kind of playing as a out on that right back might be better. You know, if you still have Jorginho, Marino, Odegaard, all those players back, you might not see the effects of our attack nullified that much with Odegaard being the team. So yeah, just that point. But yeah, hopefully Mikel does manage it because we don't want to. It's interesting to see how he does manage it, I should say, because I'm pretty sure he has to. You can't the injury-prone players as it stands right now, so you have to protect them as well as protect the team as well. So yeah, the
100%.
midfield, the sixth position. What do you think? I think it's going to be Rice, but
You think it's
I
gonna be
don't.
right?
No. My apologies. I think it's going to be Partey. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be
I think
Partey too.
Partey he didn't start against Forest, so I think he's
Mhm.
going to start. And I also think Rice is going to come into this game as well, personally,
Off the
because
bench or from the start?
I think from the start, I think if he's fit enough to start, let me say that because obviously, but if he's fit enough to be on the bench, even if they weren't going to use him, then he must be close enough to play. So if he's
Yeah.
going to travel and he's going to be up there, uh, I would assume he'll play. But at the same time, obviously, Moreno's been playing good, bringing balance to that left hand side. But I want to get Rice in there to help for our pressing, for the way tough European night. How we want to, as you talked about the physicality of getting overrun by Sporting's midfield and the attack. I don't want any of that in this game, innit? Like I want to respect the opponent, but also try. But at the same time, the balance though. So it's a difficult one, man.
That's
Because
what I'm saying here. You know,
okay,
that's what
like
I'm
I
saying.
didn't. But
For me, I'd either go, and it might sound crazy. I'd either go Thomas or Rice. People are gonna say, "Oh, why are you talking about dropping? Why are you talking about dropping one of our best players and just dropping another one of our most expensive players?" I know it's a hard dilemma for a lot of people to understand, but I rather sacrifice that than sacrificing us not being able to build up the way we should be looking and play the football we should be playing. I'd rather see us have the right profiles, and I think Moreno right now it just suits that. Honestly, for me,
the only count I have with you is that towards the end of last season, we did see a
yes.
lot of Partey, Odegaard, Rice, and we did have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of games where we played good football.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea at home.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Uh,
1,000%.
I think Wolves away. Like there was a couple of games where we did play some good football. Brighton away as well. So Spurs game where we're 3-0 up at halftime, even though obviously we took a different approach to that game. So I could argue and push back at you that obviously Odegaard being the team kind of nullifies our inability
Yeah,
to play football because especially where he seems like he's maturing as a player each time, the way he just knows how to take responsibility, just control the game now. I think it will nullify not having, the left hand side balance. And the second point is that we need to see the rotation because for me, Rice didn't play, so it's like, and the fact that Rice didn't play on Sunday at all. So if he's fit, he has to play some iteration in this game. Obviously, if he's not
yeah,
fit
yeah.
enough to start, obviously then Marino comes in. But if Marino doesn't start in this game for me, then he definitely starts against West Ham because against Man
Mm.
United, he might have a different type of midfield. And I prefer that in this stage of the season where if we have 3 games a week, there's a different combination of Jesus doesn't start. We'll see. I won't start Jesus tomorrow, but then on Saturday I would start Jesus. You know what I mean? I wouldn't start Trossard tomorrow, but then on Saturday I would start Trossard, and then I'll
Yeah,
rest Martinelli on the bench, and then I'll bring Martin. Yeah, I'll do it like that. So then that way
yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
getting some starts, some getting some minutes, and there's a bit more happiness, there's a bit more competition in training. There's not like the first 11 are always playing, and then maybe 1 or 2 Trossard comes in and out, and then Sterling's just out on the bleak and Jesus just out on the bleak. Like I want it to be a thing where maybe Zinchenko starts on Saturday, then it's like everyone's kind of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
because I think as long as certain players start, like Odegaard,
Saka,
Saka,
the
Saliba,
defense.
one of the sixes, Timber and Calafiori, as for the majority of the time, I think we should be okay in the way we
I
play.
can agree with that.
Yeah, obviously there might be little things like if Rice is playing in the 8, it's different to Marino playing in the 8 because of the left hand side balance and more of a pocket player X Y Z. Or if Party's in the 6, Jorginho 6, Rice in 6, it's all different type of play styles, isn't it? But I think for the most part, if there's consistent players in positions, it should be okay. But
Yeah,
talking about this, obviously,
I can see that. I'll say. I mean, if Rice
what
is
do you
fit to
think?
play, I think Rice will go from the. I'll have to agree because
Because
I was also one.
I think
Go ahead.
because I don't want Rice's first game back to be
His
in that
club,
his
his club.
against his old club, and in the
Mm.
game where he's struggled. Well, not in that last game that we won 6-0, but his first couple of games against West Ham, he did struggle, you know,
Yeah.
to kind of impact himself. And if he's coming back from an injury where he hasn't played in a couple of weeks now, I don't want that to be his first game where he's starting, in my opinion. Like,
That's fair.
especially
That's fair. That's fair.
so if you
That's
can
fair.
get somebody like give him like, even if you give him you give him a 45, obviously I don't expect Arsenal to handle the business, but give him 45, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, put on Moreno or Jorginho, know that Rice is, ready to start against West Ham on Saturday. And then hopefully we haven't lost too much in our attack that, you bring on Marino, you bring on Jorginho, and he's just plug in and play. Do you know what I mean? So our front three, I'll let you choose your front three. What are you going to go for this game?
Saka has to start. And I think the two guys that missed out, obviously, the two guys missed out, I think, due to this game specifically. I think Havertz is back in the team, and I think Martinelli is back in the team because those guys have been mainstays in the squad. It would be rare if Mikel drops them for both games in a row, even though Jesus played pretty well, Trossard played okay. I think those guys reassume their position back in the squad. And I think, to be honest, right there, that's arguably, again, our best lineup we could potentially roll out. Change a few positions. That's full strength right there. So I'm comfortable if that is the squad we roll out, honestly. What do you think?
And yeah, I'll go the same front three. I think it was an intentional resting. I think Mikel spoke about something about the players that have been not going to international break have been training their arse off and been shown a certain level of quality that it's unfair for him to not be rewarding these guys with starts. Like, I don't think you have to remember Partey didn't go to international break as well, by the way, but Jorginho got the start. So it had nothing to do with injury or anything. That was just like what I'm seeing. I have to give him. Like, I can't just always start the same team, which is what I like. It shows me a bit of growth from Mikel. I think the way there's a lot of things that I'm feeling positive by just from one game that it's now encouraging me. And rotation is good. Like you bring in Havertz and bring Martinelli, I'm pretty sure they would have been happy to be off the bench, but I'm pretty sure they would have wanted to play, especially where the team's playing well, they want to get on and score. So they're probably going to be romping to play. Hopefully they both have a good game. And then obviously the likes of Jesus and Sterling, if they do get an opportunity to come off the bench in this game, add on something. But if Jesus gets his place back on Saturday against West Ham, then try and get a goal, make it hard for Mikel because if that's the case, then it's only going to be benefiting our team, innit? If everyone's playing well, if the competition is like players coming in are playing well, making it hard for the natural starter to, win his place back. And it can only bode well to, not getting injured. Because the main thing for me now is I don't want no one to get injured no more. Like, I need us to try and have a strongest team as possible for a long time through this period so that we give ourselves the greatest chance to win all these games. Because so that comes from rotating, from measuring minutes, from not letting anyone get cold and letting everyone get a good share of minutes and opportunity to play so that we can win. So yeah. And just looking, obviously this is our lineup. So that is that's David Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Wright, Partey, Rice and Odegaard, obviously Saka, Havertz and Martinelli. And just quickly, Steph, your predictions for this game.
I was gonna predict originally a different scoreline. I'll say this. I'll say 1-0 Arsenal. I think it's going to be a difficult game away from home. I think they're going to try to, even though they're going to try to prove a point, even though they lost Amarin, I think they're still going to try to play expansive football. I think they're still going to be at home. The fans are still going to be up for it. And then they're going to know that Arsenal have a poor record away from home in Europe over the last couple of games, over the last couple of years in Europe. So, they're definitely going to look to try to do us harm. But I think we'll overcome. I think it's going to be a strong defensive performance. Ultimately, I think we're going to edge it with a single goal. And if I was to predict the goal scorer, Martin Odegaard gets off the mark. That's my prediction. 1-0 to the Arsenal.
All right, cool. That's fair enough. It's tough because I kind of expect Arsenal to go there and dominate possession despite any change in lineup or anything, because I just think now that we have more of our players, and I do think we're a superior team to Sporting, no disrespect, going to their ground. I think we should want to go there off the back of that win and, try and, do the same things at least. It won't be easy, but if those players are starting, if that lineup starts, which I expect it does, I think we should be able to, dominate the game and put our foot on the ball and, be defensively solid enough. The only problem I have is I don't know if I can't predict them not scoring because I expect them to win, but our European history away from home has shown that we actually concede goals or a goal. And I mean, even if we win, we've won in a situation where we've conceded goals. It's tough when you go to these grounds. The atmosphere is mad. Other teams are, this is they're playing Arsenal, one of the best teams in the world. So they're gonna try. Some players might want to, show their face to maybe get a move, not a move, but
Gokares for sure
might be trialing himself. Might take any chance he gets to score, or just make it physical and rough enough for Gabriel and Saliba. So I don't know.
Prediction.
But fuck, man, I'm gonna go 2-0.
Aye, all this talk about not scoring. Look at you, you're a funny guy.
It's like I think I'm trying to. I think Arsenal at the same time of us implementing the football we want us to play. I think we need to get back to that defensive where we're just remember last season, Steph, we used to do our conversations or previews or whatever. I'm just confident that I'm not worrying about. I'm even that I'm not worried about conceding goals, and the reason why is not because I think we're gonna wipe teams. Because I'm like, right, like what happened on Saturday against Forest, where there's 0 shots on target, like that. That was normal last season. So that I want that to return. So that has to return by habits. It can't return by just certain games. So go on.
And I agree with you. And that is exactly why I went 1-0 to Arsenal. I was gonna lean on the fact that before that game, I think we were 6 games in the Premier League without a clean sheet. Back to winning ways with the clean sheet, 3-0 win. David Raya, to be honest, since he's came in, he looks like he loves a clean sheet. Same thing with Saliba and Gabriel. So they're itching, especially at times last season where they should have had clean sheets and they lost into silly goals. I think this is the time where not only the attack puts on a run and scores goals, but the defense goes on a run and shows, yes, we're still the same defense. We're still the same defense. Everyone was hyping up and talking about me in terms of talking about me. Saliba and Gabriel are still the world-class center backs we talk about. And we're that team still. I think all around, we're going to need a strong performance. And I think that starts from the defense. And then that's where we're edge it in attack.
Yeah, that's just it, man. Like, we want to have little checkpoints that we go past. Obviously, we managed to get clean sheet against Atalanta, albeit obviously they missed the penalty and Raya had a magical save. But we want to, get a next checkpoint, which is, winning away from home in Europe and maybe also getting a clean sheet away from home whilst winning, which will also bode well to the confidence. Maybe to the outside looking in, they might not see it as a big thing, but I know internally, if you can go away from home to a team that, scores goals for fun at their home ground and, nullify them and win the game, I think that it kind of removes the last couple of weeks out of our mind and say it was a bad period down to injuries, down to, bad form, and we kind of move back to the norm, innit? But yeah, we'll see how it goes tomorrow, or we should say today, and hopefully we get the 3 points and it can go well into that West Ham game off the back of 2 wins. So yeah, Steph, man, we'll call it a day there. Guys, please hit that subscribe button to both our channels, Cape Has Pause and Gunner Street. We're both dropping consistent Arsenal content on our channels. So yeah, so subscribe, hit the post notification, check out our latest videos and content that we've been dropping. Smash the like button to this video, comment down below your thoughts, your lineups, your predictions, and we'll catch you guys in the next videos. Speak soon.
Peace.